Following on from my review of the Xperia Active, the Sony Xperia Go, or the Xperia Advance in the US, is Sony's latest ruggedized phone, now with a 3.5-inch reality display, 5 megapixel camera, full IP67 rating for dust, water and shock, plus a 1 GHz dual-core processor. Yes, still only Android 2.3 Gingerbread though, but ICS will be an update later on, yada yada. Still, I like it. In the next phone show, I'm hopefully going to be bringing you my latest top 5 phones. And there's a very good chance I may stick this, the Samsung Galaxy S3, in at number 1. Yes, the iPhone 4S is patently world-conquering, away from Geekland especially. But the Galaxy S3 is a very different sort of phone. Okay, it's larger, it's clumsier, its interface is quirkier and less consistent. Android's application choice still isn't up to that of iOS. The camera is not quite as good. The build materials are all plastic. However much you doll up the hyperglaze, this is the blue version, and you're unlikely to get support from Samsung that's anywhere near that from Apple. But it's the natural evolution of the next wave of phones and implemented superbly, especially in hardware. The Galaxy Nexus here introduced us to a 4.65-inch screen and a form factor that we'd all previously dismissed as well, too large, and then got hooked by browsing the web or watching video content on its 720p screen. Samsung, who make the Nexus, then worked out what it needed to do to take the concept and blow everything else out of the water. Display, enlarge it to 4.8 inches without increasing the overall form factor. Big win, though it's still pentile to the same degree as the Galaxy Nexus, and eagle-eyed people may still complain that they can see the dots. Not me though, all 4 eyes. Stick in a speaker that actually works, not the silly tweeter from the Galaxy Nexus. Here's a demo. Brilliant. I'd say up to iPhone and N8 levels of volume and quality. Forget the silly hollowed-in back and battery of the Nexus. Create a leveled back here and use the extra volume for a very big battery, 2100 milliamp hours. And unlike in the HTC One X, the Razer Max and the iPhone, 6 months or 9 months down the line when the battery is looking a bit tired and not lasting so long, you simply take the back off and pop in a new one. Superb. And it easily lasts a full day here on the SGS3. Forget the Nexus and Android 4's inclination to just have one disk. Here there's a micro SD slot for people who want to go further. Forget Android 4's silly recent apps list icon and a menu symbol that's usually awkwardly placed up at the top of the screen, and stick to the tried and trusted menu control icon here at the bottom left, plus back. A good move in my eyes, even if the size of the phone and the proximity of the control icons to the Galaxy S3's bottom curves does mean you kind of have to shift the way you're holding the phone sometimes to reach the icons reliably. Stick to a physical home button, something that can be used to power the phone on without contorting your hand and risking dropping the thing. Yes. Never mind the Nexus's dual processors, this baby's got 4. In fact, it's got 5 because there's a little one for keeping it idling when you don't need that monster Exynos processor running at 1.4 gigahertz, which kicks in when you need to do anything at light speed. As with the Galaxy Nexus, there's a gigabyte of RAM, which is ample. You improve the camera from the Nexus by putting in essentially the same unit as on the best-selling SGS2, but with new algorithms to keep things clean and new software to recognize faces and even tag them for social sharing the snaps later. All very clever and very quick from shot to shot. Here are some sample photos. It's still nowhere near the Nokia N8, but it's not far off the iPhone 4S. Test video capture on the Samsung Galaxy S3. Continuous autofocus, 720p, 1080p. This is being shot in 720 though. Audio scratchy and tinny. I have to say I'm disappointed by the audio quality, but the video is pretty good. This is in super fine mode on the Galaxy S3. So what's new and what's worthwhile in software here? There's the Nature home screen. Marketing poppycock, though I like the sentiment, and it does largely avoid Apple's slide to unlock lawyers. There's a modicum of voice control here, though you do have to touch the S3 to a degree. It's not quite the way the system was portrayed at the launch. Press the button to bring up the lock screen, and then you can sometimes get the screen to clear with a wake up command. Let's just bring it back again. Wake up. Wake up. Second time lucky. Then there are a few core functions that can be assigned to audio strings, such as play music. Let's try that. Play music. All a bit gimmicky, though it's far faster and more reliable, I reckon, to just tap a shortcut on the screen. There are 4 configurable shortcuts on the lock screen, one of which is S-Voice. This is Samsung's very limited copy of Apple's Siri. It can handle basic queries, but it's not quite as sophisticated as Siri. But let's try a few examples. Set an alarm for 10:45 a.m. tomorrow.
All right. This is your alarm for 10:45. Should I save it?
Thank you very much. Let's try something else. Show me free games in the Play Store. Waiting.
I'm not sure what you mean by children's 3.
Let's try again. Show me free games in the Play Store.
I'm not sure what you mean by show me a free games.
I give up. It's faster to use the touchscreen, trust me. This is still in gimmick land, if you ask me. Talking of gimmicks, a feature called Smart Stay pulses the front camera to check your eyes are still open and, if found, in theory, keeps the screen alive while you're reading or consuming content. Doesn't work for me. Glasses fooled it. Any lighting other than Samsung Lab Perfect fooled it. And it especially doesn't work in the dark. The very use case shown off in Samsung's adverts. TouchWiz itself is leaner and more flexible than before. Some elements of Android 4 are missing, e.g. you can't drag and drop app shortcuts onto each other to form folders, iOS style. But most of the differences are positive. I love this swipey pane at the top of the notifications pane for toggling everything you might ever want to turn on or off. However, the review device came with a lot of Vodafone shortcuts and widgets, which can thankfully be hidden using the convenient TouchWiz Launcher's hide function. Also worth hiding are most of the Samsung bloatware. That's Navigon, the Game Hub, Music Hub, Video Hub, Samsung Apps, Samsung Suggest, and so on. Do a little pruning. Almost half the icons here, almost half the apps aren't actually needed, amazingly, and you can get fairly close to Google, Android, as it was intended, and then build up your own Android app experience from there. One addition to Android that is genuinely interesting is S-Memo here, lifted from the slightly larger Galaxy Note. Unlike the inductively powered Note though, here you just need any old capacitive pen to get going. What fun. Oh, and special mentions go to the built-in torch widget, and also the negative colours utility, which finally lets me play around with Gmail in black, temporarily at least. As befits a 2012 handset, there's NFC built in here, as with the Galaxy Nexus, and again it's rather strangely integrated into the battery. Oh, well, it's somewhere to put an antenna, I guess. And if you have a friend with a Galaxy Nexus or S3, then you can do fast media transfers using Wi-Fi Direct. Early days for compatibility for this technology, I suspect. Look, the HTC One X is prettier than the SGS3 and better built. The iPhone is easier to use. The Nokia 808 has a much better camera. The Razer Max has a much bigger battery. The Galaxy Nexus doesn't have the bloatware. But the SGS3 gets close to all of these, all in the one phone. And so once you've hidden half the icons here in the app launcher, as with the Galaxy S2 just over a year ago, I have no hesitation in proclaiming the SGS3 to be just about the best phone in the world right now, for anyone who knows what they're doing and also can cope with the size. Is this 4.8-inch screen the end of the trend towards bigger and bigger? I certainly hope so. This is right on the limit for me and probably for many people. In the meantime, the SGS3 has given the competition an awful lot to think about, not least Apple, currently tweaking its 4.1-inch screen to iPhone 5. This autumn should be very interesting. This is the Galaxy S3.